Hey everyone, welcome to Colourisma. I'm Shar, and today we're doing a draw with me with actually very little technical difficulties so far, so I'm very impressed. I am talking today about falling behind and all of the implications that goes for. We're going to go ahead and get started on the drawing, and I will see you later because I'll just do the drawing now. All right. My hand is all in the way. Um, Working today, I was debating on the topic that I was going to go over today. And there's a lot of things to kind of discuss. I've just got my first round of COVID shot, so that's good. And relating it back to today's topic, I've actually been eligible for that since like the beginning of March. So, talk about falling behind. And in my state, they're actually going to open it up to pretty much everyone tomorrow. So, like I said, um, just one of those things that with everything going on and happening, I ended up not scheduling it, not thinking about it, not really messing with it at all. And in turn, kind of late to the draw on that one. Not too bad, but just not quite as on it as I was hoping to be. Um, I got something on my finger here, so I'm trying to get it off so you guys don't have to stare at like my grungy fingernails. But maybe that would be better than me not doing anything. uh, so no technical difficulties, just biological ones today. There we go. Yeah, looks a little rough, but whatever. Okay. Um, as far as what I'm drawing, um, I decided for my desktop wallpapers, which is what I do a lot of the times for these draw with me's, um, I would do a scene this year with the different characters and how they interact with each other. Last year I did basically a lot of character portraits, just single character portraits, and while I really like working on those, I felt like some dynamic character interactions might be a little bit more interesting to people when I share the artwork off of Patreon a little bit and kind of like show little previews of these desktop wallpapers. I'm trying to figure out ways to create things that do a little more than just the one thing that they tend to do as far as like um, for instance, like if it's a desktop wallpaper, then that is one functionality of it. But if I were to change the format and post it in different ways, then perhaps it could be like more advertisement than I've been currently using them for. So just trying to come up with different things for my art business and find different avenues to make the things I do uh, kind of like work double duty in the sense of getting a little more bang for my metaphorical buck there. Don't love that. So, as far as falling behind goes, I am kind of behind on a lot of things. I actually just picked this up yesterday. I'll show the camera here. A 2021 weekly planner journal thing. Uh, Very good to pick that up 4 months into the year. That's awesome, right? I just checked something and noticed that I meant to update something before the stream and I forgot. So, falling behind on that as well. Uh, I think one thing I'm going to have to implement more and just make more time for and really make sure I actually get it into the schedule is making time for scheduling things. I think that would be a big help. And a lot of things nowadays actually allow you to schedule. There used to be a time when every single thing for scheduling was paid for. Like you could only do it if you paid for it, and that is no longer the case for a lot of different things, which is nice. But I have not been making the most out of the fact that they no longer make you pay for those services all the time anymore. In fact, you can actually schedule, I don't know if you know this, but you can actually schedule Instagram posts now through Facebook because they're connected. So you can go to, I think it's called Facebook Manager, Facebook Business Manager, something like that, and actually schedule your posts through Facebook, through not on Facebook, but like you'll schedule them and then um, they'll post up the day and time that you want. And I've used that before, and it works. It works pretty good, honestly. I like it a lot. I just don't schedule the time to schedule the posts, so then it doesn't happen all the time. And it would be better. It would be a lot better if I were able to do that. I wish that was the way things could work on a lot of different platforms, like um, maybe TikTok. Mostly, I just want it to work on TikTok. But they're just now getting through to having like closed captions and stuff. So they're working on a bunch of different stuff. But yeah, so the problem I've been finding over the years is the fact that I have pretty much always something going on. And then, little known to me at the time, I have probably ADHD. So I would get distracted by something and then move on to the next thing, forgetting to finish the first task, and then move on to the next thing, forgetting to completely finish the second task, and just so on and so forth. It just ended up being real pain most of the time, trying to get anything done. And the main thing is I just have a lot of executive function issues, in that I know something should be done, but I really hate schedules and I really hate routine and I really hate all that kind of stuff. And because of that, it ends up being that I can't really ever get anything done in a timely manner, in a way that makes sense, in a way that would make sense to anyone. Um, I'm I'm having to problem solve draw, which I try not to do on stream because it takes a lot of mental energy and doesn't leave for a lot of good conversation. I can draw and talk at the same time, but it has to be a certain kind of drawing. The way that that's easiest for me is if I've already got it sketched out and then I move on to uh, the next stage where it's basically just the less time mentally taxing thing and more just the fill in the blanks sort of thing. And I don't love this, but we'll just keep going. Um, and because of that, and because I'm falling behind on everything. I did not get this done last night, and I slept in too late today, and then bada bing, bada boom, I'm on air, and I'm trying to figure it out, all struggling live on air, because that's how that works. Hey, how's it going? I see you on here. I I'm telling everyone how I how the struggle is real, basically, on basically everything, but definitely today, and trying to get this sketch out. But yeah, so trying to get behind, like ahead of feeling behind, is always difficult. One thing I kind of tend to do is I basically start every Monday like a new beginning. Like the way kind of people feel about the new year is how I feel about every single Monday in the year. So I have like 52 chances to sort of do better in everything in the whole year, and I don't try to stress too much if I didn't get as much done the week before. I mostly just worry about like right now and not try to overthink it or anything. Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you're painting too. We can paint together. I felt like getting my journal in April, my weekly planner in April, was like a good motivator for trying to figure out today's topic and trying to get it so I have something meaningful to share with everyone, and a topic that people could relate to, I think. And I have like all of the advantages that a lot of people don't have. I live by myself, so everything is 100% my fault. Like, if it doesn't get done, it's because the only one that's stopping it from getting done is me, which is like a good and bad thing, because I have also no help, in the sense of like no one to remind me, no one to be like, hey, shouldn't you do that thing, or shouldn't you hey, don't forget this or don't forget that. So it's good news, bad news. I don't have any kind of external source typically to get in the way of getting anything done, but I also don't have any external source to help get things done either, which can be also challenging in its own way. But definitely trying to get better at that. It's one of the things I'm working through with my unofficial ADHD diagnosis. I'm pretty much always trying to find videos and different kind of methods that might be able to help deal with all of this, and get it so it's working in a better system than it is currently, which is, a system would be a very kind a kind word for it, because it's not quite there. But I think one of the things that does help is not being too hard on yourself, which I'm very good at doing. I don't hold a lot of personal. I just don't like hold a lot of it as personal failings, so much as just like, well, it didn't get done. That sucks. I don't really um, feel like it's like me as a bad person, though. I just feel like, well, try again next time. It's kind of how I was brought up as a kid. Whenever I wouldn't do so great on a test or something, my parents would just say, well, did you try your best? And I would always say yes, because I always did. And they'd be like, well, then that's as good as you could do. And maybe maybe that is not super encouraging, but it always was for me, because it just showed me, like, at a young age, that I'm not good at every single thing. I learned out very quickly the things I was good at and the things I was bad at. I learned I was bad at math in 3rd grade, And that could have just been something that I was told and then reinforced. Being I told myself that I was bad at it, and then I reinforced it my whole life. But at the same time, I also learned that I was good at art. So some things don't change all that much, because that was quite a bit ago, and I still feel it's true. I probably have dyscalculia as well. I feel like I've had that for like a number of years. That's been no secret to me. And numbers actually stress me out. Like hearing about them too much literally stresses me out. So I know there's something there. I just don't know what exactly, or if it's anything that could be treated, or I honestly don't even care all that much about getting that treated, because it just doesn't affect my life all that much. I know enough to get by, basically. And maybe it would help me, but I doubt it. It wouldn't make my life more fun, I'll tell you that. I don't think that would be possible to have numbers be fun for me. But the point being, I learned early on the things I was good at and the things that I was less good at. And there wasn't really a moral judgment in on any of that. It was just like, cheetahs, which is this little character I'm drawing here. They're good at running. You know what they're not doing? Very good at flying. They're not good at flying at all. Uh, and that doesn't make them bad at anything. They're just really good at running. That's what they're like specialized for. And also growing up being such an animal nerd, I kind of just recognized in myself that, like, look, every single creature can't be good at every single thing. And if I'm the kind of creature that just happens to be better at drawing than I am at other things, then okay. Then I'm the cheetah of drawing compared to the cheetah of flying, as far as the things I'm not so good at. So I I don't think it's good to try to have things feel like moral judgments, because I think it makes it even harder for you, uh, on top of already feeling like stressed out and anxious about not being able to get the things done that you want to get done. If you also try to have like this terrible moral failing on top of it, as if you're a bad person just because you have trouble managing your time, like, time is a construct. It's not even real. Like, I mean, we make it real, but that doesn't mean that much, honestly. It's like a thing like money that we all just agree on. It doesn't actually mean anything in the real world. But it's one of those things that it's also easier said than done. I had the particular upbringing that allowed me to feel this way about this stuff, so it kind of helps. I have a little bit of an edge compared to some people who got raised in a completely different way that was probably a lot more strict and harsh than the way I was raised. So it's all that like healing work and junk that you have to go through as an adult, dealing with all your childhood traumas and stuff. But it is definitely something that we all have to deal with and that we all try to get better at, hopefully. Um, as far as another tip, I don't have a super scripted thing. I came up with this idea about 5 minutes before I started streaming. So I'm debating whether or not I want to do more scripted things. It kind of stresses me out, so I don't like it. But at the same time, it might make these a little bit more easy to follow on a rewatch. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm trying to think of about 70 different things at any given time, um, for all the different properties that I have and the things that I'm trying to accomplish and get done and everything. So I'll think about it for a bit, and then I will feel like I did something because I thought about it, and then I'll move on to the next thing without actually having actually having to like accomplish anything. And I think that's another problem I have, is that I tend to feel like easily accomplished. I think that's how I would phrase that. I think a lot of people are very harsh on themselves and sometimes very negative about what they can and can't accomplish. And I think I'm the exact opposite. I'm actually I feel very accomplished very easily, which has its own downfalls because sometimes I'll finish something. I'm like, yeah, I'm happy with that. And then somebody will be like, oh, is that done? And I'm like, I guess it's not. And again, it's not quite like I don't really feel bad about it. It's just like, oh, I felt like it was done because that I got to the point where it made me happy and I didn't want to work on it anymore. But that's why I do care about the opinions of others sometimes, because they can kind of see things that I don't, or like my probably eternal optimism misses, because I'm just like, oh no, but you get the gist. You get what I mean by this. And then they're like, I don't get it though. And they're like, oh, okay, I'll explain it more then. But yeah, so I am definitely in the kind of mode of perpetually feeling behind, because also my schedule is such that uh, the beginning of the week is very open and I have a lot of potential to get a lot of stuff done. And that actually would be a really good time to schedule everything for the rest of the week, because the rest of the week is taken up by part-time job that I have. And what ends up happening is I don't quite get enough done at the beginning of the week. I definitely don't schedule my posts and plan it out like how I should. And then the rest of the week gets away from me because I'm just in go mode and getting up, going to work, and then coming home like super late. So I'm super tired, and all I want to do is just like be on my phone and not really think anymore. And definitely not planning or trying to execute posts or get things done or sketched out enough to be able to be worthy of posting. I know some people are like, oh, post whatever, post your works in progress, and that's fine. And I'll tell you, it is not fine. I'm learning very quickly what the different algorithms care and don't care about. And on Instagram in particular, it really hates it. I guess other people can do this, but on my account, it really hates it. Or people hate it. I don't know who decides this, but um, whenever I have text on my images, like I was trying to do a sale this week or this past week for my Patreon, and I put text on the images in order to tell about the sale and everything. And maybe it's smart text, so it could see the word Patreon, and it also is, in my opinion, hates promoting anything off platform. So anything off platform basically like dies, like gets no attention, no views, no nothing. Um, and I don't know if it's a combo of those or what, but anytime I post anything with text on it, it does horribly. And by horribly, I mean normally I'll get somewhere in the neighborhood of like 30 to 50 likes on stuff, and then the ones that I put text on or anything get like 15 likes, and those are from the people who I know follow me, like probably have me like only like make sure I see all this person's updates or whatever, like that kind of style of following. So um that's when I know, like, okay, this isn't great. I'm trying to play nice with the algorithms in the sense of like, it's not that I'm trying to figure them out, because I pretty much have them figured out. I still just can't make anything like go viral. So I don't know. A long time ago I watched a video about how to do kind of stuff that would be more viral. And of course, it's like emotional connection, like share something that is meaningful and people can relate to, and character interactions and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, sure, that sounds good. And then I never did it. So this is my also attempt at doing that more, in the sense of trying to have more meaningful, like funny interactions, or entertaining interactions anyway. I think I'm going to have her like trying to get Aspa's ear here. That's cute. The paw's a little wonky anatomy wise, but this is a super rough sketch. The whole thing is wonky anatomy wise. One thing I've also learned too with these is go smaller than you think. Give more breathing area around the frame and like what's happening. That tends to, I know you, like for me, I want to get those details in, but what ends up looking better is actually having some breathing room and space more than the details, unless you're just doing like a super close-up face portrait, at which point you're probably not having a lot of character interaction there. But open that up, make it more, give it more breathing room, and you'll see like better results, I think. But anyway, not really a tip on getting behind so much as just a generic drawing tip. But so I'm definitely struggling to get everything done in a week that I would like to. And I'm also struggling with that in another way, because I have a hard time seeing even if I'm really on top of it and I get everything done in a week that I want to, I have a hard time seeing any results from it or anything kind of happening with it. So it's really discouraging for me to work so hard to get all the things done that I feel like would help get my work out there, and then it doesn't matter. Like, no matter if I do it exactly on schedule. And I know part of it is like the algorithms and everything really like routine and schedule, and I kind of opened up this by saying I hate routine and schedule. And by hate, I don't, it's a little strong, but it's just I don't react well to it. Anything short of like a biological schedule, like, oh, I went to sleep and now I'm waking up, like that's like biology. It's not really human made, artificial planning and stuff. That kind of stuff I do okay with, but anything that is like time based, or you have to be doing this at this certain time because the algorithm wants you to, I just don't react well to that, and have a hard time making myself do the things that according to algorithms and stuff, and which is why I want to get better at scheduling. And I was thinking about that before I started recording today, and like the tips I could potentially share to help with that. And I think scheduling for the week, it makes sense in theory. It does. I try to plan a day where I'm going to do that, and then ultimately what happens every single week is something happens on that day, which totally makes it so I don't end up scheduling anything. And so nothing happens, and then the week gets away from me again, like it usually does, and I post maybe once or twice, and it's all sporadic and doesn't really work. So I think what I might start doing is potentially scheduling in two batches of like 2 weeks. So once every 2 weeks, I'll schedule posts. I'm going to try that and see if that doesn't work a little bit better. I think I also have a reluctance to share old stuff, even though a lot of people haven't seen a lot of stuff from me. So it would be totally fine to repost it just to, I mean, a lot of people even say like, hey, I'm reposting this because I don't think a lot of people saw this before. And I know I see those posts and I'm like, oh, cool, neat, something I hadn't seen before. Oh, yeah, I remember when that first got posted. Cool, it's nice to see it again. Like, I never have a bad reaction to it, and yet I have like this such a reluctance to post on older stuff on my own social medias or anything. I just like want everything to be the newness and trying to be fresh and cool and hip and everything. I'm also really bad at. I tried this for a while with my comic. I would try to have it so I would post my main comic update on Instagram on like one Wednesday, and then I would do the newsletter update the next Wednesday, and then I would have the webtoons update the Wednesday after that. But then each week I was also moving forward with the comics, so then I had to basically keep track of something like 3 or 4 different updates on different websites at different times. And like I could map it all out on paper or something, but it didn't matter because it was just so confusing that I just kind of gave up. And I think what I'm trying to do also is simplify and try not to completely overwhelm myself. I think that's another thing that I tend to do is I will overwhelm myself easily and allow myself to sit in that overwhelm and not do anything, because it's easier to not do anything than it is uh, to do stuff, to put it simply. Um, it's definitely something I struggle with a lot. And if it sounds like I don't really have a handle on it, that is because I absolutely do not. Um, Part of the reason why I wanted to start this show was to sh- kind of share with other artists and be like, look, I don't have it together. Like, if you feel alone and not completely having everything together, then I will be the one. I will do it. I will be the one. I will be the shining example in front of everyone to just be like, hey, I don't have it all together. Help. And then, my hope is that, people do offer their advice or their help or their techniques, and I could try to implement it and see if it works for me as well, and all that kind of stuff, and just kind of have like a big community thing going. I think that's another thing I'd like to try to get more. It feels so overwhelming though every time I think about doing it. Um, I want to grow colorism a lot more and have like a kind of a sizable audience that watches every week, so we can all chat with each other and, yeah, share different techniques and things that work for us, and um, you know get all that good techniques shared, and people can learn from it and everything and implement the things that work best for them. So that is the goal. Getting there, I've been thinking about that lately too. I've been working on this and trying to do weekly updates since last June or July, I believe. It might have been July, but it's been a while. It's now, we're in April, so we're actually almost back at June. So I've almost been doing this a year, and it's not grown the way I want. But I've also heard, I listen to Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend, and on there, one of the people recently mentioned, I hope I'm remembering this right. I listen to a lot of different things. I could be wrong, but they mentioned that, yeah, no, it was on there. Thanks, brain. That's very helpful for you to do that to me. But whatever. The point was is that they were a late night talk show host, and the person who was in the business for a long time and knew how it worked told him it's going to take a year and a half. It's going to take like a year and a half for you to really find your footing, feel like you know what you're doing. have the audience at the level you want and all this. And he was like, whatever, I could do it in 6 months. And lo and behold, it took him a year and a half. So I think part of keeping with this, even though I do feel discouraged sometimes, is it's teaching me patience in a way that I haven't been receptive to it in the past. And I will admit that I have not been receptive to patience. I am terminally impatient, so I definitely feel like it can be super frustrating to have to wait and have this like waiting game happen, where you're wanting results and you're just not seeing them, and you want to just fix it. You just want to make it better. You just want to do the thing that makes it better, and it's not always that easy or even possible. Yeah, that's another thing too. Melissa says feels like falling behind art wise, like where I should be in like your art career or place. And I completely agree with that in the sense of like my own path, and knowing I've been trying to do this for as long as I've been trying to do this. I think I bring it up a lot. I think I frustrate people sometimes, close friends who've seen me struggle like this whole time. And when I bring up how long it's been, I know some people sort of feel frustrated by hearing those numbers. Not more frustrated than me, mind you, but they feel frustrated because I can't tell exactly why. Sometimes I feel like it's because they're frustrated for me. And then sometimes I feel like in some ways that maybe they don't even want to admit that they're frustrated at me, because they feel like, okay, you're doing something wrong, because you can't really have been doing this for 18 years and still not anywhere where you want to be. And I'm like, but I really have been doing this for 18 years and I'm really not where I want to be. Um, so it's weird. It's a weird place to be, and I feel, well, probably TMI or whatever, but I feel behind on a lot of different things. As an adult, like I do technically own my own house. I have the title to my own house. Yeah, lots of adults can say that. Um, it's a joke. It goes better with the older generations. Are like, "Don't you mean lien?" And I'm like, "No, title," because I live in a car. Um, but anyway, I do have that going for me. But it is also a 36-year-old house, a 36-year-old RV, and there's so many things that need fixing, and I have such a hard time getting people to help me with it. It's ridiculous, honestly. I feel very very behind on that, because it's just like I like right now I need my AC fixed, and I'm trying to hire someone to just put a new one in because I'm at that point, and I can't even get a hold of them. I can't even get a hold of them to make it happen. So it's like, shut up and take my money, and they won't answer the phone. So, um, it's stuff like that. It's like that. Trying to just do all the normal things, I guess, quote unquote normal things, or at least the things I want. I don't concern myself too much with being normal or not, but um, I'd like to have like a relationship that matters with someone. Like that would be nice. Um, I'm not one for kids myself, but like, I would like to have potentially like a horse or another pet. But I'm not in a position to do that right now either. So it's just like I'm compared to a lot of people my age. It's just I just feel so behind on like pretty much every measurable thing. And like I said, it's not so much that I feel like the weight of society's pressure on me. It's so much as my own pressure and my own impatience and my own like frustration of having wanting these things my whole entire adult life, striving for these things my whole entire adult life, and then seemingly no matter what I do, it not working out the way I want. So, um, I get a lot of people are, they have either their parents bearing down on them, or they do feel the weight of society, or sometimes, if you are older and you do want kids, then you have your own biology facing you, which thankful that I don't have that. But so in a way, it's kind of like the best worst case scenario, because the only one really is frustrated by everything. The only like thing behind it is myself. So in theory, I could just like change my attitude about it, and then potentially like feel better about it, I guess. And I do try to watch those like feel good things that try to do that are like, oh, it's all about your attitude and the way you feel about things, and it's less about the things that are actually happening and more about the way you feel about them, and just work on yourself, and blah 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 blah. And it's not to say I don't find that there's value in that. I do. It's just that I think there's also room to acknowledge the fact that, sometimes shit just be very annoying. Sometimes it's just annoying to work, to try your best and not get where you want to be, Um, like when I was a kid, and did you try your best? Yeah, but at the end of the day, you still failed the test or still didn't get the good grade, all the measurable statistic that people will, inherently judge you for, still wasn't good. And it kind of sucks to not be good at the thing that you want to do. Like, even if it's not like the skills, if you feel like you're good there, but like you're not good in all the other stuff. And it's weird because I really study marketing like a hobby, so I feel like I should be better at it than I am, because there's not much marketing jargon that I don't understand. Like, I get funnels, and I get all the different kind of things along with it, the graphic design stuff that helps, the big words, the composition, you want to emphasize the thing you want people to see first, just all that kind of stuff. I get all that. So it's weird how I'll try to implement it and it never works for me. And I don't know if it's like a me thing, or if it's, I don't know. I really can't figure it out. If I can, or if I do, I will definitely tell you guys. I don't know if there's like some kind of secret that like everybody who's ever made it is hiding. I don't know, because I think if there is a secret, I think that secret is luck. And I think that people don't emphasize that enough, and they really want it to be because it's what they did and what, their success, and they really want to own that, and they really want to feel, put a moral, not failing, the opposite, a moral success. They want to put um, their ego into it and say like, no, no, this was all me. And not saying that everybody who's successful does this, but um, I've I've pretty much seen anyone who is as successful as I'd like to be downplay luck a lot, a lot. And I do find that personally very frustrating, because it's like, you gotta put that in there. You gotta like, I would almost respect it more if somebody was just like, I was at the right place at the right time. I was set up for this thing to happen. I suspected it would happen. I planned for it. And you know what? It happened just the way I thought, and I was ready for it. And that's how I got successful and made all my money. And I would be like, there it is. There it is. Thank you for just saying that. Like, that would be hard to replicate. But I do feel like that is the case for a lot of people. Uh, that is how it happens for them, but they just don't want to admit that because, again, ego and everything else. Um, so yeah, I don't know. And there's probably a lot more into it as well. All the bad things about society that none of us wants to think about. But that could also definitely play into it too for a lot of different people as to why they've been struggling for so long and not able to get where they want to be. So definitely want to add that in there as if you feel like you're falling behind, but you're also in a marginalized group of some sort. Yeah. Like, unfortunately that tracks. I hate that. I hate that that's the case. I wish it wasn't in the world. Um, but to completely like not even mention that, I think would be a discredit and oversight to a lot of the issues that are going on in the world and whatnot. So I think it's important to at least just be like, hey, sometimes it feels like the world is against you because it actually is, and that sucks. That sucks so bad. I don't know that I fit that personally. I think I've unfortunately, fortunately, I don't know how you want to put it, but I do have a a bit of privilege for myself. Um, so I don't know. I don't know, but maybe it is a bigger problem than I'm willing to see because, like, again, my own ego, right? Maybe that's it. Maybe I'm letting my own ego get in the way of that. It's like, no, because if it's my problem, if it's the thing that I am doing wrong, then that means I can just do something else to fix it. But if it's outside of my realm or ability to be able to fix something, then what? Right? Like that feels worse. That feels way worse. So it's one of those things that I don't try to spend a lot of time dwelling on. I'm very solution focused. Um, in fact, that's generally when I am upset about something. It's because I've run out of solutions. Like, I've thought of all the solutions, I've tried all the solutions I could, and I'm still not getting the results I want. And then I get upset because it's like, all right, I need more solutions because I'm out. And a lot of times it's hard to find the solutions. That seems relatively straightforward, like getting a new AC unit. You'd think that's just, call a guy and then they come over and then, they put it in and done, and you pay money and then you're done. But that even can't even be straightforward and simple. So, something way more complicated like, hey, I want an art career. That's way bigger. That's way more difficult. So, because there's definitely not anyone just sitting around handing out art careers. You can't just pay someone the money to make your art career happen. That isn't a thing. Um, so yeah, it's definitely a whole thing. I wish I had more advice as far as how to fix it, like the actual solution, because the solution is to just do this thing, this one simple trick, and then you too will be on the perfect path, and you'll do better, and everything will be the way you want. And the solution is not that, not that I know of anyway. Um, I've also been playing around with different concepts like, hey, what does utopia look like? And that sounds kind of random to bring that up now, but the reason why I think about that sometimes is because without having a target, then what are we fighting for, right? Like, if we don't even know what the end result looks like when we do end up having, the barriers dropped through all the different ways that there are barriers, and we actually had this like super egalitarian society, like what does that look like without it being trick, without it actually secretly being a dystopian society or anything? What does that look like? I would like to know the answer to that, because I feel like that would help with the different issues that I'm having now, and I could potentially work towards that reality. But without knowing what that reality even looks like, um, then I think I heard somebody say it's hard to find an invisible bridge or something like that, which kind of tracks for what I'm saying. But yeah, I I kind of can only offer the advice of like adjusting your expectations and um, when you feel like you're behind, trying to do a harder soft reset. I try to do like effectively a hard reset every single week on Monday, like I said earlier. So that helps for that side of things. But it's a lot, you know. It's definitely an like crushing weight that is on you for definitely however long you've been working at this or trying to get where you want to be and still not there yet. It's just something that permeates like every single thought you have and all the different things that you do. It's like, well, will this get me to my goal? Will this do it? Will that do it? And it's exhausting because I feel like once you're there, once you've quote unquote made it, in the sense that you're like less concentrating on um, getting known or being seen or any of that, and more just on maintaining. It is a different challenge. It is, you know, it's not to say that it's not challenging because it absolutely is, but it is a different set of challenges than trying to get seen in the first place. Um, and I don't want to say one is easier or harder, but I feel like potentially the emotional impact, especially because you aren't, you know, feeling seen or heard. And I've actually heard people say, like, oh, well, as long as I feel seen or heard, then I'm fine. And I'm like, oh boy. They're like, I may not have the monetary value, you know, the monetary success that I want out of this career, but I feel seen and heard. So at least I have that. And I'm like, oof, that's a big one because a lot of people don't have the monetary thing and they don't feel seen and heard. And that's, oof, that's a lot. I can tell you that's a lot from experience. Um, so yeah, it's definitely difficult. I could, I suppose, suggest like getting therapists and stuff, but as someone who can't do that, I find it hard to suggest such things that I can't actually do myself, um, due to like, you know, financial strain and whatnot. So uh, I don't like suggesting that for others that may or may not be in. I want to remind people that that is an option in case like you're like me and you're like, oh yeah, yeah, that could be something I could do. Or if it gets bad enough and you want to just like save up for it, or if you are able to get, you know, some assistance or something, and go that avenue, then I would say, you know, take it. But uh, there is a lot that available that, depending on your, you know, stratosphere and everything, you are not able to actually do. So I find advice where they only just suggest a bunch of things that I can't actually do very frustrating. So I try not to be that person and not suggest those things. So that probably isn't the most uplifting topic I've ever had on this show, unfortunately. A few weeks ago, I was real hype about, um, you know, a new plan and trying to work that in and everything. And pretty much like normal, my ADHD self saw something new and shiny, and I was like, "Ooh, yeah, that's the secret." And then I tried to implement it, and it didn't go very well. And uh, sure enough, I'm back where I started. So, uh, you know, it's one of those things. It's more just, you know, that silly. I don't want to say silly, but um, those motivational speakers that are like, it's not about how many times you fall, it's about how many times you get back up, and it's stuff like that. And again, it's not silly, but at the same time, you're just like, when you're constantly having to dust yourself off because you're always on the ground failing, then you're just like, okay, fine, it's not about falling down, it's getting up, blah blah blah. It's hard not to like roll your eyes a little bit at some of that advice or quote unquote motivational talk, because it's so much a part of your life that it's like they're almost romanticizing your reality, and that can be kind of frustrating. It is for me anyway. Because they're speaking from the other side. They're speaking from the I'm already successful. I got here, so why aren't you here? Oh, it must be because you just need to keep getting up and keep trying and blah blah blah. And it's like, sure, yeah, that is part of it. But at the same time, there's the part where it's like sometimes it does get overwhelming, and sometimes you need a break. Sometimes it just gets to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm tired of this, and I just need to step away because it's so frustrating. So that's also something that if you're falling so far behind that it feels like you'll never catch up, sometimes it's just better to just start over. I did that. I had a soft relaunch of my comic, where I did start it. I did do updates, and then I kind of was having a lot going on, and I decided to restart the updates. And because it's actually kind of good when that happens, because when you're going through something and it's taking a lot of your time, and you aren't able to update and do the things that you want to do, and in a way you don't have a giant audience anyway, you have a couple of people that may or may not be paying very close attention to what you're doing and may not really notice that you haven't been updating all that often. When all that happens, just stopping and just deciding, just making the executive decision, like, nope, I'm going to restart, I'm going to do it, and then picking a date and then doing it on there, and then from that day forward, moving forward with things, that can be really empowering. I will say that. Like I said, I did do that with my comic. I started over with new updates and a new schedule. I think I was trying. No, I don't know if I ever tried to do weekly. That doesn't sound like me, but I definitely just made it so I was committed to a bi-weekly update schedule on the relaunch. And short of a few major things happening, global pandemic, social unrest, that kind of stuff, this past year, I've been very happy that I've been able to by and large, maintain that schedule. That's been a big win for me, given, how many times have I said I don't like schedules, but find something that works for you that isn't stressful. And I feel like that is also a way to overcome the overwhelm and feeling behind feeling, because a lot of times I think it's us feeling too much pressure to perform, and we overtax ourselves and what our actual abilities are based on our schedules and how much free time we really have or whatever, and we try to do too much. Basically, it boils down to us trying to do too much, and that's a quick way to fall behind, and for no good reason. Like, I won't say that there's a lot of success in updating less, because I haven't found that to be true myself. But I will say I don't feel stressed about it. Like, I can always make that deadline, because within 2 weeks of time, I can complete a comic. 1 week, too difficult. But 2 weeks, I can somehow always manage to scramble or try to plan ahead but I can get a little bit behind every 2 weeks and then somehow pick up the slack at the very end. Maybe it's because it's just far enough out that it doesn't feel stressful to me or something. I don't really know what it is, but that's for me and my rhythm that tends to work. Bi-weekly works for me. It may not work for other people. Maybe this having the stress of every week and accomplishing that goal every single week, that could work for you. So it's really just about listening to yourself and knowing what it is that helps you actually be able to get things done that you want to get done. And with that, I'll scroll out of here. I didn't get the whole entire sketch complete, but you can kind of see where this is going and what it'll be here once I get completely done with this one. But I appreciate you for watching and chatting in the chat. Thank you so much. If you are interested in catching future updates, then you can subscribe to Colourisma's YouTube channel. And if you want to help in any other kind of way, if you can, there is also a Patreon at patreon.com/Colourisma, and you can contribute as little as $2 a month to help the show grow. I'll be able to afford ads and all that kind of good junk. But yeah, I appreciate everybody, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a good day, and take care. Bye.